Heartland Season 19 Episode 8 doesn't just hit hard. It exposes every crack hiding beneath the surface and forces every character to face what they've been avoiding. And trust me, the truth that finally comes out is nothing short of explosive, I swear. Just when we think Heartland is about to calm down for a second, Episode 8 shows up like, nope. Life isn't done testing these people yet, and honestly, the emotional weight of this episode hits in the most unexpected way. Starting right from the moment Amy steps into the day with this tight, uneasy feeling she's clearly trying to bury. You can see it, that kind of tension that sits in your chest when you know something is wrong. But you keep telling yourself you can handle it. Except Amy can't, not today. Not when everything she's been holding together finally starts slipping through her fingers. And let's be real here. Amy has been trying so hard to keep that brave front up for Lindy, for the ranch, for everyone who expects her to magically fix everything all the time. But deep down, she's exhausted. Like the kind of exhausted that doesn't go away with rest because it's emotional, not physical. And if that wasn't enough, she already feels like she's walking on thin ice with Nathan. Because the last episode planted those little seeds of doubt she hoped would disappear. Spoiler alert, they didn't, they grew. And in Episode 8, they're almost loud enough to drown out everything else, because this time, Nathan doesn't just disappoint her. He confirms the fear she has been denying. He still doesn't fully understand what she needs. Especially when it comes to Lindy. Amy loves him, that's obvious. But this episode starts showing us that love alone doesn't fix the gaps that are slowly widening between them. And what makes it worse? She starts the episode genuinely expecting something good, maybe even a proposal. The poor woman has no idea what's waiting for her. Heartland really said, "Let me give you hope so I can crush it later." But the real storm of the episode doesn't start with Amy, it starts with Spartan. Yes, Spartan. The moment Amy notices something is off with him, you feel that cold drop in your stomach because this horse isn't just a horse. He's part of her story, her memories, her healing. Losing Spartan would be like losing another piece of tie, and the writers know that. So when Spartan falls Lagain, you can see Amy's entire world shake for a second. Her face literally says, please not this. Not him, and remember what we talked about? Nathan's sister, yeah. She quietly sneaks right back into the chaos. Episode 7 made it seem like maybe Amy was wrong, maybe Nathan's sister was innocent. Heartland loves tricking us like that. But Episode 8 flips the table and confirms everything Amy feared. This time, the damage to Spartan isn't some random coincidence. The signs are way too clear, too specific, too familiar. And Amy can no longer push away the suspicion she tried so hard to bury, just to avoid causing more drama. And honestly, can we blame her? After everything she went through the last time she accused Nathan's sister, she practically had to swallow her pride and pretend she overreacted. But this time the evidence is right in front of her. And the look in her eyes when she pieces it together is heartbreaking, not because she's angry, but because she knows what this is going to mean for Nathan. She knows how he reacts when anyone mentions his sister. She knows how quickly he gets defensive. She knows how easily this can break something they were just starting to build. Meanwhile, Jack has his own emotional battle happening quietly on the sidelines. And this is why Heartland hits so deep. The show doesn't need screaming or explosions to punch us in the chest. Jack's struggle is so raw, so honest, so painfully human. He hates feeling weak. He hates accepting help. He hates the idea that his own body is betraying him. And even though he tries to hide it behind those classic tough old cowboy lines, the camera doesn't lie. You can see that fear in his eyes. The fear of being left behind by life. The fear of becoming a burden. The fear of losing the strength he built his entire identity on. But the moment Spartan is rushed to the hospital, you can see Jack snap out of his own problems and focus on the one thing that truly matters to him. His family. And that right there? That's why this man will always be Heartland's backbone. He can be falling apart, but he'll still be the first one to show up when the people he loves need him. And while all of this chaos surrounds the adults, Katie and Dex's little innocent love story becomes the one bright spot we cling to. Because watching them blush, stumble over words, and pretend they're just hanging out when everybody knows they're basically one accidental romantic moment away from being a full couple, it's adorable. And honestly, the way they balance the heavy parts of the episode is so refreshing. Their dynamic feels so genuine, like early Heartland energy, hopeful, awkward, sweet, and full of possibility. But Episode 8 sets up something bigger for them too. Something that'll matter later. Something that shows Dex isn't just a crush for Katie. He's someone who challenges her without even trying. And those moments quietly shape the whole episode without stealing the spotlight, which is honestly one of the best parts of Heartland's writing this season. Episode 8 picks up right in the middle of that emotional storm. And honestly, this is where everything starts to unravel in ways none of the characters are ready for. Because the minute Amy gets Spartan into the clinic, that tiny piece of hope she was clinging to starts slipping through her fingers. You can literally see her fighting back that panic, trying to stay calm, trying to be the strong version of herself that everyone expects. But the truth is, she's scared. Scared in that deep, silent way that doesn't need words. Because anyone who ever loved something that saved them knows exactly what she's feeling. Spartan isn't just a companion, he is a symbol of every chapter she survived. So when the vet says the illness looks suspiciously similar to what happened before, the room basically freezes. Because now there's no denying it, something isn't right. And this is exactly the moment Amy realizes she can't protect Nathan from the truth anymore. She can't tiptoe around the subject. She can't pretend his sister is harmless. Because this isn't just about some misunderstanding, this is about life on the ranch. About Lindy's safety, about everything Amy works so hard to protect. She takes a breath, gathers her courage, and prepares herself for a conversation she already knows won't end well. And the sad part is, she's right. Because Nathan reacts exactly the way she feared, defensive, hurt, almost angry. Like Amy's accusation is a direct attack on him instead of a desperate attempt to protect Spartan. And the rest of the animals. It's honestly heartbreaking because Amy isn't trying to create drama. She's just tired of pretending everything is perfect when clearly it isn't. She wants Nathan to listen, to trust her, to look past his loyalty to his sister for 1 second and see that this situation is serious. But instead, he shuts down. He questions her motives. He throws the past mistake in her face like a weapon. And that moment right there, that's when Amy starts to pull back emotionally without even realizing it. Not because she wants to, but because she feels alone. And that loneliness hits so much harder when it comes from someone you love. And if you thought that was the worst of it, wait until the confrontation actually unfolds fully. Nathan insists his sister had nothing to do with any of this, even though the evidence is staring right at them. He refuses to believe Amy, even as she shows him what she found. And you know what hurts the most? Amy looks more disappointed than angry. Because at this point, she's not even fighting about his sister. She's fighting for their relationship. She's fighting for the trust they're supposed to have. She's fighting for the future they talked about, the marriage, the family, the stability. And the moment Nathan turns his back on her in that clinic hallway, it's like watching her heart break in slow motion. Meanwhile, Jack is trying to stay strong for everyone. But this whole situation with Spartan triggers something deep inside him. That fear of loss, that fear of being powerless. It hits him even harder because he's already struggling with his own health. And you can see how desperately he wants to pretend he's fine. But age isn't something he can outrun. He's frustrated with his own body, frustrated that he can't help the way he used to. And even though Amy reassures him, even though she tries to keep him from worrying, Jack knows something is wrong, not just with the horses but with the family itself. There's tension everywhere and he can feel it in the way people talk, in the way people avoid eye contact, in the way everyone keeps trying to hold it together even though the cracks are getting bigger. And then we have Katie and Dex, unknowingly stepping right into the middle of all this emotional chaos with their energy. That feels like a breath of fresh air. Their accidental date is probably one of the cutest things Heartland has given us in years. Because neither of them knows how to act. Dex tries to look confident but he's basically vibrating with nervous energy. Katie tries to play it cool but she keeps overthinking every sentence she says. And when someone mistakes them for a couple, the look on their faces tells you everything: confusion, surprise. And this tiny spark of realization that maybe, just maybe, this connection is real. But here's the part I love, even in this innocent moment. The show uses their dynamic to reveal something deeper. Dex pushes Katie in ways no one else does, not harshly, but honestly. He calls her out when she's holding back. He challenges her when she acts like she's too good at something. And Katie, who's used to everyone around her being soft and supportive, suddenly finds herself wanting to be better, wanting to prove herself, wanting to rise to the challenge. That's what makes this pair feel so refreshing. They aren't just a cute teen couple. They're each other's mirror, each other's motivator. And that chemistry is only getting stronger. But while Katie is enjoying this new spark in her life, she notices something is off with Amy, and that says a lot. Because Katie is usually wrapped up in her own world. But even she can see the heaviness in Amy's eyes, the tension in her shoulders, the way she's distracted even when she pretends everything is fine. And that's when Katie realizes something big is happening, something Amy isn't talking about yet. The episode drops all these emotional threads at once: Amy's heartbreak, Nathan's denial, Spartan's worsening condition, Jack's fear of getting old, and Katie's awakening feelings. And somehow, everything is connected even though the characters don't see it yet. That's what makes this season so powerful. Every storyline is building towards something. And episode 8 is the moment those storylines start colliding in ways that will change everything. For the rest of the season, episode 8 reaches that point where the tension isn't just in the story anymore. It's in the air, in the silence, in the expressions the characters don't explain out loud. And honestly, this is where everything that's been simmering beneath the surface finally starts boiling over. Because once Spartan's condition worsens, Amy can no longer hide behind calm words or hopeful thinking. You can feel the weight of every single memory she has with this horse pressing down on her. And the fear of losing him feels like a shadow following her everywhere she goes. And the worst part? She feels like she's fighting that fear alone. No Nathan by her side, no emotional support, no sense of unity. Just her, holding onto Spartan's halter like it's the only stable thing in her world right now. And this is exactly where the cracks in Amy and Nathan's relationship begin to show in full daylight. Because instead of standing with Amy, Nathan decides to stand with the one person he shouldn't be protecting, his sister. It's like he's blind to the pain Amy is in, blind to how serious the situation is, blind to the fact that this isn't just another barn mishap. This is Spartan. This is the heart of Heartland. This is a horse that has carried Amy through grief, trauma, motherhood, and every emotional storm in between. And yet Nathan acts as if Amy is being dramatic, as if she's jumping to conclusions, as if she's the problem. The frustration that builds inside Amy at this point isn't loud, but it's powerful. You know that specific kind of anger that grows when someone refuses to understand you? That silent fury where you're not yelling, not breaking down, but something inside you is starting to close off? That's where Amy is right now. And it's honestly painful to watch because she's trying so hard to keep the peace, to stay rational, to choose her words carefully, but Nathan keeps dismissing her. He keeps defending his sister. And every time he does that, you can almost see another piece of Amy's faith in this relationship fall apart. Meanwhile, the episode gives us a glimpse into Nathan's mindset too, not to excuse him, but to show that he's a man torn between two loyalties, the woman he loves and the sister he feels obligated to protect. But the problem is he can't see the truth because he refuses to look at it. His loyalty becomes a shield, blocking him from acknowledging that maybe, just maybe, his sister isn't who he thinks she is. And this denial doesn't just hurt Amy, it hurts him too. Because deep down, he knows something is off, but he's terrified of admitting it. And while all of this emotional chaos is unfolding, Jack becomes the silent anchor keeping everyone from falling apart. Even though he's dealing with his own health issues, his own vulnerability, his own fear of losing the stability he once took for granted, he still shows up. Because that's who Jack is. He doesn't run from the hard moments. He doesn't hide behind excuses. He faces things head on, even when his body is telling him not to. And when he sees Amy spiraling quietly, when he sees that look in her eyes that breaks him every single time, he does what no one else can. He grounds her. He reminds her that she's not alone, even if the person she loves most isn't standing beside her. But the emotional intensity doesn't stop there. Because Katie and Dex, unknowingly, walk straight into this storm with their growing feelings and teenage awkwardness. And the contrast between the heaviness of the adult storylines and the softness of theirs is honestly what keeps the episode balanced. Their chemistry becomes even more obvious in this section. The way Dex tries to act nonchalant while he's internally panicking. The way Katie laughs too quickly at his jokes. The way they keep brushing hands but pretending it's accidental. It's the slow-burning tension that feels so pure, so nostalgic, so reminiscent of early Heartland episodes where everything felt new and hopeful. But what makes their dynamic even more interesting is how observant Dex is. While everyone else is absorbed in their worries, Dex notices the tension when he and Katie pass by Amy at the clinic. He notices the redness in her eyes, the stiffness in her posture, the way she forces a smile that doesn't reach her expression. And Katie sees it too. And suddenly, their little accidental date becomes something deeper. A moment where Katie feels that pull to step into the seriousness of adulthood, sooner than she expected. Because Amy is her family. And Katie has always been more sensitive to Amy's emotions than people realize. So seeing her like this shakes her, and Dex picks up on it immediately. This is where their relationship shifts just a bit. Not dramatically, not in a big scene, but in those small silent moments where Dex offers comfort without making it weird. Where Katie feels safe enough to be honest about her worries. Where their hearts align without either of them saying a word. And that's what makes their story so important right now. They bring warmth into an episode that's otherwise drowning in conflict. Back at the clinic, things get even more intense when the vet confirms that Spartan's condition is worsening. And the moment Amy hears those words, her world stops. Because this isn't just about illness anymore, it's about trust. It's about betrayal. It's about how something this dangerous could happen again despite all the precautions. And this is the moment Amy decides she can't keep ignoring her instincts. She has to dig deeper. She has to find proof. Because if she doesn't, this won't stop. Not with Spartan. Not with the other horses. Not with the ranch, but the moment Amy starts searching for answers, Nathan becomes even more defensive, almost as if her determination is a personal attack on him. And that's the saddest part. Instead of coming closer in crisis, they drift further apart. Not because they don't care, but because they're speaking to different emotional languages right now. And that emotional distance sets the stage for the most heartbreaking part of the episode. The part that's coming in the next sections. When the truth finally comes out and forces everyone to confront the consequences. Episode 8 reaches that point where Heartland finally stops teasing us and starts revealing the truth, piece by piece. And honestly, the way everything comes together is both satisfying and heartbreaking. Because once Amy decides she's done waiting, done hoping Nathan will magically understand, done pretending everything is fine, she finally steps into that version of herself we all know, the one who doesn't back down when something she loves is threatened. And the second she starts digging, the truth unravels faster than even she expected. Small details that didn't make sense suddenly fall into place. And every sign points in the same direction. Nathan's sister wasn't just involved. She was the reason Spartan got sick again, and the moment Amy realizes she has undeniable proof, you can feel the heartbreak forming before she even speaks. Because she knows exactly what this means. She knows Nathan is going to react badly. She knows he's going to take it personally. She knows this conversation will either make or break everything they've been building this season. And still, she chooses honesty. She chooses the truth over comfort. She chooses Spartan over the possibility of keeping the peace. That's what makes Amy who she is. She protects the innocent, even if it costs her something she wants. But as expected, Nathan doesn't take it well. In fact, he reacts worse than before. When Amy confronts him, instead of listening, he doubles down on his denial, acting as if Amy is attacking his entire family. It's almost painful to watch because you can see Amy's hope crumble right there. She's giving him the evidence, she's calmly explaining the situation. But he's so blinded by loyalty that he refuses to even look at the facts. And the worst part? He throws her past mistake at her again like a wound he refuses to let heal. That moment is honestly the turning point, not for Spartan's story, but for Amy's relationship. Because Amy finally realizes something she should have seen earlier. She and Nathan want the same future. But they don't share the same way of handling life. Nathan wants love without conflict. Amy understands love sometimes requires confrontation. Nathan wants peace at any cost. Amy wants truth, even when it hurts. And the deeper this argument goes, the more obvious it becomes that they're not ready for the commitment they were dreaming about. Not yet, not like this. Not when trust is already cracked. Meanwhile, Jack sees the tension from a mile away. And even though he tries to stay out of their business, he can't help worrying. The weight of everything, his health, his age, Spartan's illness, Amy's emotional exhaustion. It all hits him at once. And you can tell he blames himself for not being strong enough, for not being able to shield Amy from this pain. But what he doesn't realize is that just his presence is making a difference. The way he watches over Spartan, the way he stands behind Amy even when she feels alone, the way he refuses to let fear control him. That quiet strength becomes the emotional backbone of this entire episode. On the lighter side, Katie and Dex continue to give us that bit of relief we desperately need. Their chemistry is even more obvious now. And there's this soft sweetness growing between them that reminds us what young love feels like. The innocence, the awkwardness, the spark neither of them knows how to handle yet. And the funniest part? Everyone else sees it except them. Even during the chaos with Spartan and the tension between Amy and Nathan. Dex keeps checking on Katie and Katie keeps pretending she doesn't notice. But trust me, she notices. The whole ranch notices, but as the episode pushes toward its final moments, the tone shifts again. Spartan's condition finally stabilizes just enough to breathe. But the emotional damage done between Amy and Nathan doesn't, not even close. And Heartland makes it painfully clear, this isn't the end of their story. But it is the start of a serious reckoning they can't avoid anymore. The episode ends with this heavy silence, not heartbreaking, not dramatic. But that deep kind of quiet you feel after a storm when you know the ground is still unstable. Everything is changing. And episode 9 is going to force every character to face choices they can't run from anymore. The final stretch of episode 8 hits with that classic Heartland emotional punch. Not by shocking us, but by forcing every character to confront what they've been avoiding. And it all starts with Amy stepping outside the clinic after everything with Nathan finally blows up. She's not crying, she's not angry, she's not yelling, she's just tired. That deep, soul-level exhaustion you feel when you've held yourself together for too long. And watching her stand there trying to steady her breathing, trying to process the reality that the man she might have married doesn't trust her. It hits harder than any dramatic breakup scene ever could, because Heartland doesn't break characters with noise, it breaks them with silence. But what makes this moment so powerful is that Amy isn't standing alone for long. Jack finds her not with big speeches or comforting words, but with that quiet presence that has carried her through half her life. He doesn't pressure her to talk. He doesn't try to fix the situation. He just stands there, giving her space to breathe. And that alone is enough to keep her from falling apart. And this is where Amy finally admits it, not out loud, but to herself, that Nathan's reaction cut deeper than she expected. Because she loved him. Because she wanted it to work. Because she thought he saw her fully. But the truth is, he didn't, not yet. Meanwhile, Nathan is dealing with his own emotional crash. He's angry, confused, hurt, and guilty all at once. He wants to believe his sister. He wants to believe Amy. He wants to believe both can exist without conflict. But that's not reality. And the minute he realizes his sister hasn't been honest with him, everything inside him shifts. Because now he's not just dealing with Amy's accusations. He's dealing with betrayal from the one person he defended blindly. And that's the exact moment the guilt kicks in. The regret. The fear that he might have pushed Amy too far this time. That maybe he can't take back what he said. But despite all this darkness, Heartland ends the episode with one bright thread: Katie and Dex. Because their little storyline finally pays off when they share a moment that's simple, but meaningful. A moment that isn't loud or romantic or dramatic, just honest. Katie admits she's scared for Spartan. Dex admits he hates seeing her worried. And the way they look at each other? You don't need dialogue to understand what's happening. Their connection is real, natural, unforced, and it's the kind of young love that feels like a reminder that not everything in life is falling apart. Spartan stabilizing becomes the emotional exhale everyone needed. Not a full recovery, not a miracle, but enough to give the family hope. Enough to remind Amy that even when the world feels heavy, she still has roots holding her steady. Enough to remind Katie and Dex that life still has sweetness. Enough to remind Jack that he still matters deeply. And that's how episode 8 closes, with unresolved tension, quiet heartbreak, and a fragile, rebuilding hope. A reminder that the road ahead won't be easy, not for Amy, not for Nathan, not for the ranch. But also a reminder that healing doesn't happen in one moment. It happens slowly. Through choices. Through truth. Through the people who stay, even when everything hurts. Episode 9 is about to shift everything again, and trust me, the fallout from this episode will have consequences neither Amy nor Nathan can ignore anymore.